Good afternoon. My name's Dave Wendt, and I'm here with a unique opportunity today to talk about a subject that's clearly dear and near to my heart. And my perspective of this subject is one of joy, one of happiness, and one of fulfillment. I have a son who has been a blessing in my life. And as a young man, I had the opportunity, there was presentation that is a high school fellow coming out, not ready, not experienced, and not prepared to be a parent, that I wound up with getting a girl pregnant. The two of us were close friends. We met at church, and when she was a wonderful girl, great family. I also cannot complain. I had a great upbringing. I was raised in church. But the time came that we had done something that resulted in the creation of a child. And my story begins there with the fact that both of us coming from a good home, both of us knowing the Word and having been raised in church, that a situation would occur that would cause me then for the rest of my life to look at my blessings, to think about things in a positive manner. And one of those things would be pro-life. I have found myself in the midst of weighing in on the abortion issue many times. I am absolutely a pro-life person. The story I tell supports that, and I hope would be an encouragement, strength to those who see this to realize that what seems like an insurmountable problem at the moment, something that you can't overcome today, is really just a short-term problem in your life and may very, very well turn out to be the most wonderful blessing the Lord could ever bestow upon you. And that is the gift of a child. I see children as a blessing from God, and I think all children are, and I think they just need to be loved, nurtured, and cared about to the best of our ability. At 18 years old, my girlfriend was pregnant. I was just finishing school. I had not done anything to prepare financially or to be settled in a relationship that would result in having a good, solid home. My parents knew this. My girlfriend's parents were aware of the situation, and we had talked to the pastor in our church several times. What became clear to me very early on was that I had my own set of moral beliefs, my own moral compass, that I certainly had understood what I'd been taught in Sunday school, what I had heard preached in church. And it alarmed me that my parents, many of the adults around me, and including the pastor of my church, all said there was a simple solution, that we could change this situation for the betterment, that no one would be responsible, that we could move on with our lives. The story that they were presenting was that we should consider an abortion, that we could simply rid ourselves of a child, of a blessing from the Lord, that we could move on with our lives and we could decide what to do for our own best interest, our own convenience. I was alarmed because in speaking with my father and my mother, then sitting in a room with the pastor and hearing three adults that I loved, trusted, and did respect, all of them offering me a solution that at that time certainly seemed like three people giving me advice that was in direct conflict, was exactly the opposite of what I'd learned in Sunday school, what I had learned in church. The 10 Commandments are simple, they're straightforward, they're direct, and it said, "Thou shalt not kill." I was raised to believe that when a woman was pregnant, that God had then created a child, that God had created a living, breathing human being who would come to the world and would provide an opportunity for us to raise and love that child, to raise and love that person, and to share with that person the values and the things that we had learned along the way. And those things in my life had been a Christian value system. So I was alarmed by the offer of people willing to pay for an abortion. I was upset that my parents would think that was the best solution. And I was beyond question upset over a pastor telling me that that was the simple way out, that he never brought up the fact that we could love and nurture a child that we could struggle through the good times, through the difficult, the bad times of being poor, but that in spite of anything that would happen, that no matter what happened, that we could be a family, that we could love and care for a small child. And as a result, my girlfriend and I decided, talked among ourselves, and worked through the situation, and we then went ahead. We were married. We believed and thought at that time that was the correct thing to do, that it was a choice that would be the normal and appropriate thing to do. And we were surrounded by naysayers, people that really were not very positive for us. But in spite of that, we persevered, and we were married. And for about 3 years, we then lived together as husband and wife. Both of us still being immature, both of us still learning about life, trying to figure out how to earn an income and develop a home and a family. But through it all, the two of us were committed and sincere in loving, caring, and nurturing a little boy. It is a little boy to us, filled with excitement, expectation, laughter, smiles. And 1,000 hugs. Through it all, we just trusted in the Lord and trusted in each other. And we were that little small family for that short time. But watching our son grow and watching him learn, watching him develop, seeing how unique he was and what a person and a personality that he would have, the adaptation of traits from his mother, who was a loving and wonderful lady, well-educated from a good family. She had so much to offer, and she shared and she poured herself into our son in such a positive way that he never, ever doubted that she loved him, that she appreciated having him, that she appreciated him being a part of our life and our being. And I myself was just always thrilled, overjoyed that I could have a buddy, a partner, a pal, a little boy, just to love, to care about, the way my father had treated me, the way my grandfather had been with me. I was passing that on to a young man, and he was learning those life lessons, spending time. It had made each day just a gift, just so valuable. And it came to the point where his mother and I did divorce. We did leave each other and went out and took time to grow up a little, to mature, to become more stable in life. And without animosity and without anger, with a spirit of cooperation, we continued through our years to simply love Josh, to simply nurture him, to encourage, to watch him grow, develop. And as he did, his interests were varied. His interests were unusual to me at times. He's extremely artistic. He's very talented in many fields that I'm probably not. I'm more of a hands-on guy. He's a painter, a drawer, a game player. But he's fascinating. He's wonderful. He's enriching my life a million times. And with each Christmas gift and with each birthday that we would see, and with the coming of him having brothers and sisters later in life, we grew into a solid family. And then my son went away to college, and when he came back, it was amazing, because here's the little boy who had grown from a little blonde-haired, blue-eyed rascal playing in the yard to a young man with a college degree. And he told me he wanted to be a youth minister. And I suppose I never expected that. But it was obvious to me at that time that the Lord must have intended that the Lord was in it, and that by not depriving him of his life, by not following advice that was contrary to the 10 Commandments in my heart, to the teaching of the church, to what my parents had so lovingly, I thought, and carefully instilled in me, the respect for life, that each birthday, each holiday, each Christmas, all the way through to him officially become a youth minister, was just my realization, my comprehension in my world that my son could then share the gospel or gospel message with other young people, with other individuals that might not have that opportunity, that might not have realized that had he not been born, that I would have deprived the Lord of a willing servant. I would have deprived the church of a disciple that would go out and share the gospel message to spread the good news. And that my life would have been so much less had I taken advice that I considered then and now still to have been bad advice. I would hope that people listening to what I say about this is that truly, when you find yourself with a child, with a pregnancy and unplanned, unwanted, before you make a decision to end that child's life, and that's what it is, it's a child, it's a human embryo that grows into a baby to a child at delivery, a child to a toddler. Before you make that kind of decision, realize most of the things we face in life are only temporary obstacles, that they can be overcome. That if you don't care to have the child, there's adoption. There are people out there every day that would love, care, and nurture a baby if given an opportunity. There are people out there like me that make that choice, that would encourage you to also respect life, respect the opportunity of the creation of God to be brought into the world so that you can see them grow, that they can reach their potential, and that you never know how God can use you and can use them through allowing them to come to being an adult, being a human that you have not deprived of being that, of taking their life in the womb. And I hope and pray that somehow whatever I've said here today would be a strong encouragement, would be a pick-me-up, would be a believe in yourself, believe God will provide, God will get you through those low times. As I said, I started out penniless, broke, but willing to work, to try. But God never failed me. God never failed my wife. He never failed my son. And to this day, he's preparing, I'm preparing to have a rather large birthday party for a 50-year-old. But it's not 50 years old. It's 50 years young. "50 years young of being just wonderful. Blessing from God, wonderful blessing to my life, to my family, to my home, to everything about my existence. And my realization that he is 50 years young and serving the Lord. And I would pray that whatever I would say would be the motivation that someone else could have the same success story, the same feeling of having done the right thing for the right reason, and believing that God will, and God does in every instance, see you through. And he has with my family, he has with my son, he has with my decision about being pro-life, and not believing in abortion, as being a solution, but only just the creation of possibly another problem in your life, something you have to deal with. Where raising a child is not easy. Loving a child every day may be difficult, but God certainly gives us that ability, that capacity, and He does provide if we just simply look to Him each and every day. And I praise the Lord that I made the decision that I can now be celebrating with my son 50 years of joy of having it in my life and in my family.